Crawl space inspection part 2. In the first part we kind of discussed a little bit about the hazards of crawl spaces and conditions of the soil floor and things to watch out for, and we also talked about proper protection, for air quality and your body as you crawl around. In this one we'll talk a little bit about the wood timbers. This building is close to 100 years old, and back 100 years ago when they cut trees down, these were old trees that were probably 100 years old, and so the wood back in those days was a lot denser and stronger, unlike today's new homes where they use new growth type trees that are 20 years old and 30 years old, and so that wood tends to shrink and warp, and that's why a lot of homes, walls and ceilings aren't level. It's the wood, and so in the old days the wood was a lot denser and a lot stronger and even thicker, and so you can see that this wood structure is pretty remarkable as far as condition over the years, and it's maintained its integrity. If you look at the joist, they do have some stains on them, and so does the sheeting. The sheeting is what was laid on top of the joists, and then on top of that would have gone a 3/4 inch ornamental wood floor above the church, which also was remarkable. If you notice some of the mildew and mold, and you're going to get that, this is kind of typical, especially when you have a vented crawl space, you're going to get some moisture, and then if the establishment or building above is air conditioned, especially in the summertime, so the floor is a little cooler, right? Because you're air conditioning the area, and then outside, let's say it's hot and humid and it's vented, so then you can actually get condensation a little bit, on the underside, and that's going to cause some fungal reservoirs to amplify. And this is stuff that's just on the surface, and I'm not sure we have to clean it, but if it does have odors indoors, then you might have to call somebody to come and try to clean off the surface mold and try to condition the crawl space. This one here, you could see also now we're crawling underneath ducts, and these were added sometime later. The ductwork also may have insulation on the inside because that's what they put in ducts back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. They would actually put insulation inside the ducts, and that's probably not desirable because if moisture conditions exist, then you're going to have indoor air quality problems with that. As you see the car traveling underneath the duct, the ducts also become cold from the air conditioning and sometimes condensate. That's why you see some of the stains on the ducts. As we go through this crawl space, you also notice the hydronic piping still has intact insulation. And a lot of times when you have intact insulation, especially it's been there for 100 years and hasn't fallen down, that could be an area where the crawl space is, a little bit drier. When you see the insulation missing from these pipes and it's on the floor and it's fallen, that's an indication that the area where those pipes are at tend to get moist, and maybe there's foundation moisture intrusion or hydrostatic loading where moisture comes underneath the floor, even ponds and puddles. And so this area here, we can see that it's a little bit drier, even though the brickwork on the foundation does have some efflorescence, but you can see that the columns or the piers and the brick foundation walls are in great shape. There's minimal cracking, minimal differential settlement, and this will kind of conclude our video number 2. So please watch video number 3 for more information on this particular inspection, and also to learn a little bit about what you can inspect in crawl spaces.